Glass allows us to see in and out and invites us to imagine. Imagine Museum, Contemporary Glass Art.
Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and welcome to Imagine Museum's Zoom series, I Am Exchange. This month, we are speaking to Ekin Aytac and Josh Davids, a married couple who also collaborate on their art. This is part of our 2022 programming where we are celebrating with our peers around the globe the International Year of Glass, with our theme being the glass age transforming our world. And I think we're going to run a quick video.
Glass allows us to see in and out and invites us to imagine. Imagine Museum, Contemporary Glass Art.
Great commercial for us, and such a great year being the International Year of Glass. There's so much happening around the globe. I'm so excited that Imagine Museum actually gets to be part of it all. So this will be a fascinating conversation for me because I've met this couple a couple of times, but I've never had the opportunity to really engage with them about their work. We recently acquired a few of their pieces, of which two are displayed in Gallery 6 in our museum. So today being Valentine's Day, I thought what a perfect opportunity and day to speak with this couple about their art, about their passion, and what it takes to maintain their individual creativity and still collaborate when they're making their sculptures. I'm interested in how they collaborate, how they develop ideas, as well as the ups and downs of a married couple trying to create together and maintain an art business for themselves. And I bet you have a lot to say. So now let me introduce to you Ekin and Josh. Hello, and so good to see you.
Hi.
Hi, Jane.
It seems like it was only yesterday that we were talking here in the museum, and since that time, our weather hasn't improved so much, but what about you?
We came back to the cold weather in Michigan. We're missing Florida already.
So since that you were here in the museum just recently, and I'm just wondering what your impressions were of the museum.
Oh.
Yeah, it's such an incredible space. And we were really blown away by the new Martin Blake installation that we were all there
Amazing.
to view. But the whole space and the collection in general is quite inspiring.
And we're really happy that we're part of it.
Yes. Well, we are too. So I know that you all have prepared a PowerPoint to share with us about your work, and I thank you for taking the time to do that, because I know it was a quick shout out to you to help us with our Valentine's Day Zoom, and I appreciate that. And I'm often curious about points that you might bring up during this PowerPoint, because I didn't hear the words, I only saw the images, so it created a lot of questions for me. And so if you don't cover it, I'm sure to ask if you don't mind. And I just don't want to be seen as interruptive. So let's get the presentation going. We're about to begin the PowerPoint. So thank you very much, and it's all yours now.
Awesome. So yeah, my name is Josh Davids, and
My name is Ekin Aytac.
yeah, and we just want to say thank you so much for inviting us to speak today. So we're really happy to have this platform.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you. And again, I have done a little bit of research, but I really don't have the full story. So I'm anxious to hear what you have to say.
Oh, perfect. We will talk about a little bit how we met and how we got here, and then we will talk about our work that we create together.
Sure.
This is us in action. And
Now, where was that at? Did you meet in Michigan?
no,
Nope.
we're coming there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you talk.
Yeah.
I'll
This is
enjoy.
where we
I'll
ran
enjoy.
our time and blow glass, and we used to manage the studio. These are our boys. We had to show you.
Yeah, and next
Reno and Jax, I like that.
yeah. Next, we've got a short video, I guess, a little introduction to us and the place where we're living right now.
Okay, great.
Glass blowing itself is roughly 2,000 to 3,000 years old. It's super elemental. We're dealing with fire, water, and you can see the material change right in front of your eyes. It's something that happens amazingly fast. It's such a challenging sculptural material to work with, and that's a big part of what draws, I think, both of us to glass blowing, is the difficulty of mastering it and the way that it presents an opportunity to sculpt.
The glass studio, because it's hot, it can get very challenging. Just being in front of that open-faced 2,300 degrees furnace with hot glass in your hand, and you have to keep it turning, rotating on center, and keep moving, keep heating, and keep shaping it.
The work is super physical, getting in the studio, gathering in front of the heat, and the dance of moving around and shaping this object. That's basically 2,000 degree sand. The mastery of the material is evident in the product.
Even when we work all day, sometimes we just take the kayaks and get on the Kalamazoo River, just float down the river and breathe a little bit.
It's awesome to step out of the studio and then be able to jump on a river 5 minutes away.
I love the rivers around us and the hiking and walking. We have a dog, so he loves being outside. He loves the water, he loves swimming. We get on the river, he gets bored of looking at the birds and ducks and stuff from the kayak. Jumps off, takes a little swim. And then when he's done, it's time to get on the kayak. So Josh grabs him and puts him on the kayak and he's back on.
In a studio where everything's fast-paced and happening now and working hard, I think getting out on the river, you are into nature and away from the hustle and bustle, and it's that moment to take a breath and center yourself and
Slow down.
Yeah, enjoy what's around you. Having stuff like this available is super important when we're making artwork. We take a lot of what we're surrounded by and we try to emulate and put in our artwork because it's something that's so incredibly beautiful. How could you not want to transfer that? It just seeps into your mind and you dream about it. It bleeds into all aspects of our making process.
Nice feature from Visit Kalamazoo. That's nice.
They did the video to feature the local artists and local art places. So we really like the video. It's just a little bit of background and about the town and all, a little bit of us too.
Yeah, I thought beautiful. And so continue going with the rest of your slides, and I'll hold my questions until we have a good pause.
You're right there.
Yeah, so the next slide, if we bring it up, was, and I'm sure he'll bring it up in just a second, but we actually met in 2012 in Novi Bor, Czech Republic. So I was there as part of my graduate school. We went there to demonstrate during the International Glass Symposium there in 2012. And Ekin,
I was studying at the Novi Glass School, learning how to blow glass and design with glass. My background is in sculpture, fine art school, but glass wasn't available to me. So I went there to learn the technique. And then we met during the IGS symposium, talked about our goals and what we would like to do, and kind of clicked, and we kept in touch. In the next year,
the year following, we re-met at the glass furnace in Istanbul, Turkey, and that's where I sort of convinced her to come to Canyon, Texas, and do her studies, or continue her studies there, and that's really where we began working together.
This is West Texas A&M University, where we were both doing our masters. Josh was finishing, so we started learning to be a team to work on his final project. Next,
so after a couple of years there in Texas, we decided to get married. You know, he definitely fell in love, and it was the lovely Laura Donifer who served as the officiant of our wedding. It's a nice little glass factor, fun thing to throw in there if you know about glass. And she's definitely our glass.
Well, how fun to have her officiate your marriage. How fun.
So after we were married, we sort of left graduate school. We took a lot from it. We learned a lot, but we decided kind of the education side is not really where we wanted to go. We wanted to, or at least, formal education. We wanted to make and really explore our career as artists. So we got the chance to come up to Michigan and get involved with a nonprofit organization up here called Glass Art Kalamazoo. And we do like to teach. So this is our sort of sister organization in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And this is just a short introduction class to glass. And we like to end it with some fun stuff. So this is like funny hat day.
Love it.
We teach a lot in local places here in Michigan. We like to do more and travel more to do teaching, because it's part of the how we give it back to the community in next generations. So this is the summer camp group and the fun moment.
Yeah, and I think you really learn a lot about the craft of glass through sharing. So that's
how we
important
learn.
Part of it. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. Also, demonstrations are really fun. We like to have fun with showing folks the possibilities of glass.
The glass blowing itself is very mesmerizing and mind-blowing, and it's really nice to make an event and share with people. So now we're not working with this or at this nonprofit organization anymore. We're completely individual, but we still would like to go back there and join their events or classes and anything like that, be part of the community still.
So kind of going back, what we call the sculpture that we're making, or the work that we're focused on right now, are cityscape sculptures. And I want to say we really started, or at least for me, the forum started when I traveled to Istanbul there in 2013. This piece is from my graduate show in 2014, but it was really the city, this idea of a place that was a major kind of location in the geopolitical landscape, and as far as culture goes, like a major hub for millennia, thousands of years. And it really showed in the city, like there's so much going on there. and it was quite overwhelming. So that's something that stuck with me, and that I kind of explored in my work for almost a decade now.
And next slide, we'll see, this is one of my works that I was actually exploring when I was in grad school in Texas. I was focused on the view of viewer, or me. So I came from a little town, apartments, and the sky that you could see was very limited, very cut through these buildings and city life. When I moved to Texas, blew my mind, that giant sky surrounding everything. It was incredible. So I could not resist the affection on me. So I wanted to make sculptures about it. So the form is that what you see right now is looking up to the sky, 360 lens, fisheye lens view I'm trying to capture.
Yeah, and so these two kind of elements, as we were working, we definitely had separate tracks, but it was maybe 2018, 2019 when we sort of got together and decided that we wanted to start to fashion some objects and begin working together, putting these things together. And so we took these concepts and sort of tied them in and
found a way to make them together.
Yeah, and so we found this form, and I think after the first time we made one and set it, on a pedestal or on the table or whatever, and looked at it, and we were just sort of captured, like this is something really fantastic.
We got really excited. We were like, oh, we can do this, we can change it like this, and it just grew out of its very beginning, very basic form into something really exciting. So we naturally just kept making them.
Yeah.
So you have been making this form then for since 2018?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how you're communicating it was really the first time that you two came together with similar concepts then to make one piece.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Right? Or a series, maybe?
Yeah. So I was more drawn into the shape of this object, the round standing up, having 360, and Josh was bringing in the these patterns of city.
Yeah, and I think conceptually the idea of what the city represents, and for both of us, like we met through travel, and travel is a major influence on how we live our lives and the things that are important to us. And then what the city represents is culture and the kind of evolution of us as a sort of species over time. It's our effect on the universe, and it's a really kind of beautiful metaphor for where we are and what we do as humans.
And I know you're going to go into your process, but just a little bit more about your educational roots, Novi Bor. That has such a history in the Czech Republic from Lubinsky, Vrtova forward, I suppose.
Yes, definitely.
And is that felt when you're there? Do you really feel that sense of that tradition?
Oh, definitely. It's everywhere. The history of glass is everywhere, even in little towns, little cities. But also the modern sculptural glass is everywhere too, and everybody's influenced by these big giant names. It's incredible to actually spend some time there. It's factory glass to sculptural.
So what influence, because that it was everywhere and you were in that educational process, Josh, you came over there to teach and you were a student and studying. So and in terms of the form, because I've had to do at Imagine Museum my research also, and so I'm just wondering what artists did you like seeing when you were there? What artists, when you were studying there, captured your imagination and your interest?
It's I'll say from my perspective, I was not only Czech Republic glass, but I was watching the whole modern contemporary glass artists. So today, the honor that we're showing next to these big names, we were watching them influenced by them the whole time. So we were learning how to manipulate the glass out of what it is functionally. So for example, making this bubble super simple, just blown round shape bubble, we actually explored deconstruction.
Yeah.
So we turn it into object that is really complicated.
Yeah, and I think speaking directly to like the Czech influence, and on me, but I think I speak for both of us, is there's a real freedom in the sort of Czech tradition, is that they can really do, and they really do anything with the material. And I think what struck me, and there are definitely some individual artists that I look up to, but on the whole, was just how many possibilities and avenues for exploration there are in a material that, you know, in early days, you know, you're learning and it feels so structured, and I've got to do this to get here. And then you kind of show up in the Checo, and these guys are just incredible, doing everything.
Can do everything. Cold working, actually, their cold working technique being super advanced did influence us for sure. We're into this idea. Cold working is part of this process. We cannot turn our back to it, and now we love it. It's most of the time what we do.
Well, it's a lot of work. So then you had that influence. Then you were in Turkey, and then you were in Texas, and then then you came up to Michigan, and it's kind of how you were evolving as artists. But I'm just also fascinated by Turkey. What did you take away from that? And then looking at what you were doing for your Josh, what you were doing for your thesis work, even though it was back at the, almost now a decade, it looked like you were really pushing boundaries and scale and manipulation of materials. So I'm just curious about that evolution, anything that you took from Turkey other than the scapes and just the travel experience itself. And then when you were in an MFA program together, a master's program together, different times, of course, I get that, what that is. But, what did you acquire from that advanced study in glass?
So
first Turkey.
Yeah, go ahead. You want to start with Turkey?
First Turkey, I studied fine arts. I wanted to be a sculptor all my life, and I explored a lot of materials, but did not know much about glass until I started after school. Started working at glass furnace in Istanbul, where I lived, and they are really interesting people. So they opened this facilities to host glass art as a center in Turkey. They're the only one that you can go and learn glass blowing other than universities. So I've been in there, and I was working at the office side, but watching the glass being made and explored by the other artists. I actually watched Lino and with his team for a while, and my mind was blown. I was completely into this technique. Now I had to find out how to make it for me. How can I learn more about it, how can I actually explore my ideas on it. So that's how I decided to go to Czech Republic, because the education was a little more available there for me, at least. And the idea of learning from Czech people was actually really what I wanted.
Yeah, attractive.
So that's how I turned my face towards the glass, but still brought my background with sculptural art.
Yeah, and for me, I brought home my life partner. You know, Kiki is definitely a major part of my life now. You know, we go back, see her family as often as we can, and just as a place, the culture and the people are incredibly wonderful and warm, and you know, it's a beautiful place to be.
So rather serendipitous, though, or Josh, did you go with intention to Turkey, or was that just, I need to go there?
Well, so partially, I went to go to the glass furnace as well, but I did know Ekin was going to be there.
It is Valentine's Day, I think,
Yeah.
after all. We can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that's how you made the decision then just to go to A&M, and you were finishing a degree, and then you could have
Yeah.
a fight. Yeah. Great. Okay, so we can talk a little bit about the process. I understand a little bit more what you were taking. So go ahead and with your PowerPoints, and
Yeah.
I'll pause at another fortuitous time.
So yeah, we have this sort of conceptual background in the cityscape and this form that we're working within. And since we have that set up, we really start designing new pieces in color. So what you see here is on the left, our raw color. It comes in bar form. So we melt that down and apply it to our clear glass. And just sort of shape it, and we build up layers of color throughout the piece. So we start with color on the very inside, and then color in the middle, and other colors on the very outside, on the surface. And we can go to the next slide. So once we're sort of there, we blow up this. That's sort of what we call a color cup there on the left. That's how we keep color on the very surface. I think one of these is a video. We can click play on it, and it will show the process of. Yeah, this is really intricate color patterns and fun stuff going on that, again, we keep on the surface. And then there we have a bubble of color on the inside, and we're going to stuff it into this cup. And that's how we're layering color throughout our bubble as we inflate and sort of shape in the hot shop. All right, and go to the next one. So yeah, we inflate this thing up pretty big. You can see our shop dogs making sure that we're staying safe.
They love the heat. So we make it round sphere shape first, and then we flatten it to a coin, like lollipop like shape. The left one is a video. If we could play, it's really fun and shows how we actually shape it.
So yeah, we're constructing these forms with color throughout, and then once they've been blown, so in the center you kind of see what we call our blanks. Once they've been blown and annealed or cooled, we take them into the cold shop and we begin to deconstruct these forms. So we use a tile saw and we chop away at these rings, and we start to reveal the cityscape form, and also we mask and sandblast, so we also reveal kind of the colors throughout the piece.
This is where the cold working comes into place. So we actually start changing the construction of the bubble through the shape and the surface. So once the edges are carved and we are happy with the buildings and all the patterns we created, we work on the surface. This is the tape that we use. We mask the surface, put our pattern or whatever we're designing on the glass, and reveal some of them. So we have negative and positive surfaces, and we sandblast. So edging through the glass with sand to keep some of the surface color and reveal some of the inside color. So that the color differentiations that you see is coming from the sandblasting. Little peeling video.
Mhm.
We can just go on to the next slides too.
So
Yeah, talking a little bit about
influence.
our influence. So just some photos of
What we look at,
Yeah.
and how we see the world and the city and the patterns and colors that we're looking at, what we would like to look at.
Yeah, and again, I just kind of want to reiterate conceptually, we're really looking at these things like monuments of culture and monuments of the human story. You know, we think about a lot like some of the things that we know about the oldest civilizations don't come from written testimony or anything. They come from the places that we've inhabited. And our cities again are really telling a wonderful story of us. So these are kind of how some of those photos translate into the works that we're making.
I'd love to see the cityscape. It took me, when I first started seeing your work, you know, admiring the cold work and the pattern, and it was really by spending more time. So I've probably been aware of your work for 3, 4 years somewhere, because I you know, that's when I started seeing it in exhibitions. So it's interesting how important the cityscape is to you. And then the relationship to the pattern then that is reflected on the surface on either side.
Like these, oh, sorry.
And then the other piece is that how much you cut away, and you still have these elements that pull the two sides together. And sometimes I think it's a handle of, you know, not intentional, but I mean, I look at it and trying to imagine the intent of all of that, or how what's holding the two sides together too. So maybe a polarity a little bit, and then something having it come together.
It's like, I like the symbolism of being two people, two sides of the work, but it is attached. And it is actually a reflection and translation. When you look at these pieces from different angles, you do see through the other side, or you don't. It's all of that conversation a little bit.
So how do you plan the pattern? When you're saying one side reflects and the other side reflects, is that because now I'm going to look closer to the two sides and see how the relationship between the two, but is one reflecting one individual and another, or is it similar, or?
Sometimes, you know, I think each piece is very individual, and we work together quite a bit. So, you know, we're right now we're sitting at our dining room table, and that's also our work table. when we're going through and working on our patterns and stuff, we sit sort of face to face, and we're always in conversation with, you know, understanding what layers of color are there, what kind of ideas we have for the piece. And we don't like to share publicly like, you know, what's exactly influencing like a certain city or anything, because we want people to make their own sort of associations without us guiding them, right?
Yeah.
But we definitely have certain influences for certain pieces, and there's always a good dialogue between the two of us on, you know, how this would fit or how this might work together. And so yeah, just like each side is in dialogue in each piece, I think the two of us are in constant conversation about how we sort of bring out the most, or the best aspects of each piece of glass.
So aesthetically, do you both have similar aesthetics?
I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not sure.
Yes, yes.
Maybe
Well,
not.
I love the, again, since it's Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
I love the, just how you were describing collaboration. I think it, you know, sitting at the kitchen table, as they say, you know, and exchanging ideas back and forth. Those much, you know, I can imagine it must be very rich dialogue going back and forth.
Definitely. It's very fulfilling to have your partner all the time around you, and you know, throughout the day we are working, we're having fun, we're relaxing, or whatever we're doing it together. So it comes with its challenging parts too, but it is definitely affecting our work positively too.
I would imagine, because even if you have different aesthetics, I think that it comes together in the piece, right?
Yeah.
That collaboration only makes it stronger, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and I think exactly that. So there, you know, maybe I'm looking at this in one way, and Ekin's perspective can come in and really change, and like you said, really make things even better by pointing out this other portion right here that maybe I'm not paying attention to or not thinking about. And you know, by that sort of collaborative or that conversation just makes things so much stronger.
Always questioning too, so you're not always comfortable with what it is, what you have, but some other perspective that makes you ask a question, and then you can change things in better and positive way.
I love that. I'm going to let you get on to your PowerPoint, but I think you work very well together. So let's see what this is.
Yeah, so we have a couple different series within the Cityscape body of work, I guess. So our very first professional entry is what we call the strings between us, and that's kind of a play on words between, you know, both Ekin and I, and also an idea of how interconnected not just we are, but kind of we as a big capital we, like we as humans and across time and place and
setting.
Yeah.
This is the series we explore what we can do with what we are imagining that this sculpture series can be. So there's a lot of different information and technique tryouts, and seriously just trying it all. And then after this series we started narrowing down into our intentions, focusing on one or two things at a time.
Yeah, I think with this sort of series we really kind of open Pandora's box. We realize that there's so much in this that we have to explore, that we really need to take a step back and narrow things down.
Last two pieces are actually in the collection of Imagine Museum.
Yes. That's why I was just looking. It's like, oh yeah, at least one. So yes, when you take on the universe, right? There is just so much. There's so many aspects to explore about that. So continue with your slides.
Yeah. So we sort of wanted to narrow down focus, and we started with this limited series. It's called Polio, Sophia, and we can run this video real quick. We'll talk a little bit more about them. So yeah, this was a series that we took heavy inspiration from the Hagia Sophia there in Istanbul, which itself has a really interesting story. You know, it started as the seat of the Christian church, and then changed hands and became the mosque, and then changed hands again.
Museum now this trying to be a mosque again. It has a really long history of different cultures. It has seen a lot of different times, different empires. So it did influence us in the setting. So part of it. So the culturally differences that we brought into our work. Little bit of history, little bit modern life, and we wanted to
combination of like West and East. There's a lot of in the color. The edges have been all gold leafed. So there's a lot of influence in Islamic pattern, also Christian iconography. So it was just sort of a metaphor, I guess, for not only just what the Hagia Sophia is, but also for our sort of collaborative practice.
So the form is basically the canvas for the communication.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's a wonderful way to put it.
I appreciate the music that you had with it, but I was also impressed by the gold. So without you saying influence, as it was revealing itself, that would have been a follow-up question. So was that influence?
Yes, Islamic plus
But they're beautiful. It's beautiful. It's clear. You know, the messaging is very clear in it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, so our next sort of series within the cityscapes is what we call transparency. And with these, we're really focused on the dialogue and interaction between the kind of separate sides or, you know, opposing sides.
We were really interested in the fact that glass can, if you keep it, can stay really transparent, and it just brings the space and light into the sculpture itself, heavier, more stronger. So we wanted to explore this and color and having two surfaces and all of that in this series.
And these two, so Elysian Fields and Midnight Storm, were some of our early works in the series, and were actually what we had submitted to Op Art, I think last year, the year before. And we're really thinking about those sort of optic effects in glass and the transparency, and how, again, separate kind of sides can communicate with each other, and how that changes in light and in setting. So
Right.
Like this one. So when you look at it from one side, you can actually see what's on the surface of the side you're looking at, but also see what's in behind too. And it just, by you moving around the piece, you can see different things.
Yeah, and I think, you know, not only is the object itself in communication with itself, but then you begin, or the viewer also enters into conversation with the sculpture as well, because as the person moves throughout the space, then the object is always changing, and it has a lot to do with perspective and interaction.
So we have the other one. We have that in the museum right now too.
Yeah, the Ripple in Time and Tesseract are right behind you.
Right.
Right.
And then this is our kind of final video. If we can pause it just real quick. Yeah, so we have a few transparencies, and then we sort of end with two new pieces that were on display a couple weekends ago at Habitat's pop-up, and it's kind of our new direction. So maybe we can show the video, and we'll talk just a short bit about the kind of new direction
We're working on right now.
Love it. So I do love the more transparency that you're bringing into the work, so that you can look at it but see through it to the other side. I think when we had Peter Bremers and, well, why do you work with glass? Why do you love glass? And it's because that there is an exterior and an interior that you can make visible, which is a challenge, but also something that's very exciting as you're discovering it.
And it's an entirely separate dimension. I think, it provides incredible opportunity for sculpture.
One of the answers, why glass?
Yes. It is common. I would say it is the response, because what other material can do what it does?
Definitely.
And in such a remarkable way that as evident and obvious through the museum here.
Yeah.
So if I did my math correctly, which isn't really too difficult, if you got married in 2012 and it's 2022, so you're coming up on your 10-year anniversary?
We met in 2012.
We got married in 2016.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're still like newlyweds.
Yeah.
So how are you finding this journey so far? So I would have imagined it would have taken a lot of thought to say, yes, this is what we're going to do when you split away from the studios, to just be dependent on your work and such. It's like, how's it going so far? Do you just have ideas now that you just you can't wait? Or give me a temperature, give me the pulse.
It is always ups and down. If anybody knows anything about being a couple or married couple,
I do.
There's always a good day, there's always not.
Sure.
But one example, the other day we were trying to have a date night, just stop working so we can talk about other things, just breathe a little bit. And all night we were finding ourselves like, stop talking about work. Stop. It's what it is.
Yeah, and it's also tough because we love what we're doing, making and making for a living is not the easiest choice, but it's hard to get away from it, because we enjoyed what we're doing so much. It's easy to fall back into it, and doing that together as partners, again, presents the challenges. We're always on or always involved. So making sure that we take time to step away and share as human beings.
I think traveling and doing things outside of our environment helps a lot, and we both love traveling, and it influences our work as well as makes us connected more, helps us breathe.
Well, it gives you other experiences to share, right? That I can say that I have this year we'll have 40 years into a marriage.
Wow.
You never think, oh my God, how did that happen? But on the other side, as you share adventures over a lifetime, and it just keeps you close. And I think being artists, you're really having to share at such an intimate level, an emotional level, an intellectual level. And I could get it, that I'm going to be intellectual and emotional over here for a while, and you do your thing over there, and we'll come back together again.
Definitely.
Yes, I do get it, but that's that's why it's special what you're doing, and it deserves to be applauded, because it's rewarding, but I can appreciate the challenges of it also. And honestly, though, you all are just at the beginning, and you've made such a remarkable jump into the glass community with what you have really innovated yourself, invented, innovative, and communicated by your approach to glass. So I really admire, what you've done. And in my mind, what is the most exciting thing is that it's just the beginning, right? It's like you've landed on this, and there's just so much more, so much more for you to
We're
experience.
really excited about it.
Exactly.
I think one of the biggest challenges is actually holding ourselves long enough to explore, enough, and not just jumping ahead and doing, a million things and, flying at 100 miles an hour. So I think we're keeping ourselves in check. Well,
As they say, first things first, right?
Yeah.
And, whatever that might be, but I tell myself every day, trying to get this museum off the ground. So it's like, and with the confidence that in the end, it's all really gonna be fine. It's all gonna work out, and it will be great. So let me open it to see if there are any questions from our audience. I will invite you that to unmute yourself and to be able to ask your questions. This is go ahead. Oh, hi, Mary.
Hi, Jane. Hi. Jane, Ekin, and Josh, I just want to say thank you for a wonderful presentation. Very interesting and wonderful to be introduced to your work. So thank you.
Thank you for watching and joining us.
You're welcome.
It's nice to see you, Mary. I'm not seeing you, but just hearing you.
Same
So
here, Jane.
and if there aren't any other questions, I will just say that we will be featuring their jewelry and our Ekin and Josh's jewelry in our gift shop. Did you say that perhaps we're receiving it today?
Yes.
And is that what you have? Is that that
Yeah.
lovely necklace that you have on?
Yeah, I wanted to wear a piece of it.
Yes. No, that's lovely. I can't wait to get that packaging. For those of you who are on the Zoom, if you haven't shopped in our gift shop, that we have so many amazing items and jewelry. And so it looks like your jewelry will be a lovely addition to our collection. Any last final comments? Maybe.
I just wanted to mention, I guess, on the jewelry. So all the jewelry starts out as a larger sculpture, and throughout the making process, inevitably some things happen where maybe the piece doesn't survive, and so instead of calling it a complete loss and throwing it away, we like to recycle and reuse. So each piece of jewelry has come out of the creative process of the cityscapes, and it's our salvage kind of.
Yeah.
Well, how fortunate, because you get all that beautiful cold working on it.
Yeah.
All of that image and design, and because you're expert on that outlined form, it just looks lovely. And that's the best thing about glass, right? I mean, with this year of glass, recycling is a pretty big deal. And so I love that you're finding, with all of the hours invested, you're finding another way to
That's
give
really
it life.
perfect.
So I think that's pretty terrific. So what's new for you? Anything on the horizon for you and your work?
Yeah. We have quite a few pieces in process at the moment. We've got some really exciting shows coming up that we're just under the gun and trying to figure out how we finish in this 10-degree weather up here.
Yes. But doesn't that keep you in the studio, that 10-degree weather?
Yeah, there's
Exactly.
nothing to do but.
It makes the cold shop really cold.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, that.
Oh, yeah.
Where's the furnace?
Fun.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's just move to Florida. I'm trying to convince him.
we would love you here. I'm trying to build the glass coast, so you can come join us as we try to build the glass coast. We've got a lot of furnaces here, as you know. So it's still, you'd still be one of the early people coming in as we continue to build. So I will say, I welcome you anytime. So we just love really having the community here and building the community here, as well as we also like to build our collection and expose people to this remarkable arena of contemporary art. And as you know, so many people see the work for the first time. So it's lovely to see the reaction on their faces, which is always like, oh my God, so, and now that your work can join in that same big wow from all of our visitors. So if we don't have any other questions, and I do want to say, I'm so sorry it had to be through Zoom, that I could have a deeper dive into your lives and your creative lives, but it's really been so informative for me, studying. And I really look forward to seeing you the next time, because then, Ekin, I'll be able to pronounce your name. And Josh, you also, it will be fun to see you again. And I thank you for your time and giving your time to us at Imagine Museum. So thank you.
We're really, really thankful that you guys had us today.
Yeah. Yes,
We are looking forward to be part of Imagine Museum and the community more in the future.
That's fantastic. And have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Stay warm.
Yeah.
And so we'll see you the next time.
Awesome.
Okay. So long.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.